Silver nitrate method for the detection of latent fingerprints is a very simple and an old technique. It is specifically useful for detecting latent fingerprints on absorbent surfaces like paper, cardboard and wood. This method has several advantages. Firstly, only a single reagent is required. Normally in fingerprint detection, we have to prepare a mixture of two or more reagents for detection of latent finger marks. In this case, pure silver nitrate suffices to detect fingerprints. The composition should have a concentration of about 1 to 5% depending upon the item on which fingerprints are to be detected. The second advantage is that it requires no specialized equipment, no costly instrument. Thirdly, it's very simple. One has to spray the reagent on the surface in question. Even an amateurish hand can handle this. And lastly, black colored fingerprints are deposited, so on light colored surfaces, a beautiful contrast is obtained. On the other hand, silver nitrate method also suffers from a drawback. Firstly, it blackens the background surface. So it has to be washed away quickly. Otherwise, the fingerprints no doubt will develop quite sharp, but the surface will also acquire a dark color, and that will make the contrast not very good. Secondly, the user has to be very careful because it stains the hands and skin. It has often been observed that the person who is spraying silver nitrate, if he is not wearing gloves or any other protective clothing, his own hands and sometimes even the face gets blackened due to staining. Silver nitrate solution has to be prepared in water. Once it is sprayed, a white colored initially precipitate of silver chloride is formed. It's a simple reaction. It fixes the chloride content of sweat. The chloride ions, they react with silver nitrate to give white colored silver chloride, which is initially precipitated. It may not be visible, but thereafter, if the prints are exposed to sunlight, say from 1 to 3 minutes, silver chloride decomposes into finely divided black, silver and chlorine. Chlorine evaporates and we get black imprints made up of finely divided silver particles. And as I said, on white background or on any light background, it gives a very good contrast. So all that has to be done is to spray the reagent, wait for a few seconds, take it to the sunlight, or if an ultraviolet torch is available, impinge ultraviolet light on it and we get a contrast. This method gives very sharp prints and it's one of the best methods of detecting latent fingerprints on absorbent and porous items.
Dear students, after studying this module, you shall be able to know silver nitrate reagent detects latent fingerprints on a wide range of porous items. Along with it, you'll come to know about the methodology and mechanism by which silver nitrate develops fingerprint. And lastly, after studying this chapter, you will know the merits and demerits of silver nitrate technique for visualizing latent prints. Fingerprints are used to identify an unknown victim, witness, or suspect, to verify records, and more importantly, as links and matches between a suspect and a crime. Even when you have no suspect, prints can develop leads and sometimes provide clues about the criminal's size, sex, and occupation. Small prints tend to be made by small people, and prints on a wall indicate the suspect's height. Fingerprint evidence left behind by a suspect or victim may identify who was at a crime scene and what he or she touched. However, it is important for defense attorneys to know and to inform the jury that the techniques used to locate and identify fingerprints are far from a perfect science. An understanding of how fingerprints are located and lifted can help attorneys recognize if a flawed analysis was performed by investigators or lab technicians. Further knowledge of the various fingerprint collection techniques is essential to successful cross examination of crime scene technicians and fingerprint examiners. The powder technique is not as effective on porous surfaces such as fabric, unfinished wood, and paper. Instead, investigators often use chemical methods to locate the print, such as iodine fuming, silver nitrate, or ninhydrin. When one of these chemicals come into contact with the chemicals present in the fingerprint residue, such as natural oils or fats, the print become visual. Silver nitrate technique is one of the oldest methods of detecting latent fingerprints on porous items like paper, cardboard, and wood. The method is based on the reaction of silver ion with the chloride content of sweat residue. The reaction product, silver chloride, is relatively unstable and when exposed to ultraviolet radiation or sunlight decomposes into finely divided silver, visualizing the ridges as a dark hue, usually black or brown. The ninhydrin method of developing fingerprints on porous articles was standardized at a later date. However, this method proved more advantageous and subsequently replaced the silver nitrate procedure. Now let us see the mechanism of this procedure in detail. Silver nitrate has been an established agent for the detection of latent fingerprints for some 120 years, and it was one of the few reagents suitable for use on porous surfaces until ninhydrin was introduced in forensics. The method is based on the reaction of silver ions with chlorides in the fingerprint, which are visualized in brown, violet, or black. The silver nitrate method may be taken into consideration. However, example after the application of ninhydrin, if there are hints that the potential fingerprints are not too old, have not been affected by moisture, and if there are clues that the perpetrator perspired strongly while causing the prints. Detection of the latent fingerprints by silver nitrate is based on the premise that the said reagent undergoes chemical interaction with the chloride content or the sweat residue. This reaction produces a precipitate of light sensitive silver chloride. When white colored insoluble silver chloride is exposed to either sunlight or ultraviolet radiation, it gets reduced to metallic silver. The reaction scheme now the finely divided black or brown colored metallic silver adheres to the ridges and visualizes the print. As already said, silver nitrate development is based on the reaction of soluble silver nitrate with the sodium chloride that is present in most latent fingerprints to form insoluble and light sensitive silver chloride. Exposing the silver chloride produced by the reaction to sunlight or an ultraviolet lamp causes the silver chloride to be reduced to metallic silver, making the latent prints visible as black or dark gray traces. Because sodium chloride is not volatile. Even very old latent fingerprints retain it and can be developed by silver nitrate. Accordingly, silver nitrate development may work when iodine fuming and ninhydrin fail completely. Note that failure of these other reagents says nothing but the age of the latent fingerprints. Even prints that are only hours or days old may respond only to silver nitrate development. Now, let us see the methodology in detail. The silver nitrate reagent develops fingerprints on porous surfaces such as papers of different varieties, cardboard, and raw wood. The reagent is dissolved in distilled water or in a mixture of distilled water and methanol. Tap water is not used since it invariably contains chloride ions which transforms silver nitrate to silver chloride. The concentration of silver nitrate in test solution may vary from 1 to 10%. However, a 3% solution is considered to be the best choice. The latent fingerprint bearing item is treated with the test solution either by dipping or by spraying. A silver nitrate spraying device is shown in the given figure. Now, the treated item is then allowed to dry under natural conditions for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Thereafter, it is exposed to either sunlight or light from an ultraviolet lamp till the best contrast between the developed fingerprints and the background surface is obtained. A sample fingerprint developed by silver nitrate reagent is shown in the given figure. After the fingerprints develop, the article should once again be washed with water so as remove extra silver nitrate. Otherwise, the silver ions adhering to the surface are slowly transformed to metallic silver. As a result, the entire surface gets stained and consequently the contrast between the developed print and the background is substantially reduced. Nevertheless, the staining of the background cannot be completely avoided since the method is applicable to porous items. Some silver ions inevitably seep into the capillaries of the substrate and eventually impart a dark color to the background. To avoid this problem, it is recommended that as part of post development, the item should be first washed with water and then area outside the periphery of fingerprint be treated with a stopping solution. The latter delays the darkening of the background. The most commonly used stopping solution is that of mercury nitrate. As the silver ions absorbed into the body of substrate are transformed into metallic silver, the mercury nitrate reverses the reaction. That is, the metallic silver, which would have stained the background, is reconverted to soluble silver nitrate, which is subsequently drained off. The reaction involved is depicted in the given figure.
Silver nitrate method. Materials required. Silver nitrate solution, paper as a surface, petri dish, surgical gloves, tongue, and UV light chamber. Procedure. Let us take fingerprints on a piece of paper. Take silver nitrate solution in a petri dish. With the help of tongue, place the piece of paper in the silver nitrate solution. Take it out and drain off the extra solution and let it dry in sunlight or UV light. Here you can see that The prints darken on being exposed to sunlight or UV light. Photograph the developed prints.
Now let us see assessment of silver nitrate method. As with other chemical methods of fingerprint detection, the silver nitrate technique has both advantages and disadvantages as well. The major advantage of this method is that the chloride ions in latent fingerprints are non-volatile, and therefore fingerprints which are almost 1 week old may be developed by silver nitrate reagent. However, after 7 to 10 days, the chloride ions of sweat residue tends to diffuse into the body of the substrate, and the prints developed by silver nitrate are not of optimum quality. The ninhydrin and iodine fuming methods of fingerprint detection do not interfere with the silver nitrate technique. Thus, this method may be used as a final step to reveal fingerprints when the other conventional methods do not yield results. In fact, if the fingerprint developed by ninhydrin on a particular surface are weak and faint, the item may be post treated with silver nitrate to give a better contrast. The main demerit of the silver nitrate method is that although the developed prints are of intense color, the background is stained, and over a period of time the contrast is lowered. The staining may be delayed by either post treating the background area with a stopping solution or by preserving the developed prints in a dark chamber. Now, silver nitrate is a costly and a toxic chemical. On coming in contact with skin, it produces a black mark which persists for several days. Silver nitrate development is destructive, as is physical developer. So, if it is to be used, it must be used after all other methods have been attempted. Iodine fuming, ninhydrin, and most other development methods don't interfere with silver nitrate. So, forensics labs often use silver nitrate development as the final step in the hope of revealing latent pins that were not revealed by the other methods. Now, dear students, let us summarize this chapter. So, in this chapter, we have learned that fingerprints are used to identify an unknown victim, witness, or suspect, to verify records, and most importantly, as links and matches between a suspect and a crime. Then, secondly, we have learned that knowledge of the various fingerprint collection techniques is essential to successful cross examination of crime scene technicians and fingerprint examiners. Thirdly, we have learned that the powder technique is not as effective on porous surfaces such as fabric, unfinished wood, and paper. Instead, investigators often use chemical methods to locate the print, such as iodine fuming, silver nitrate, or ninhydrin. Now, silver nitrate method of developing fingerprints is a relatively simple and easy technique. Along with it, we have learned that it does not require a sophisticated instrument or costly equipment. Then we have come to know that, however, it does not have broad based applications and works on only porous surfaces. And we have learned that yet for porous items also, ninhydrin has proved to be a better reagent. Therefore, the silver nitrate method is considered obsolete in case work investigation. Then we have come to know that the concentration of silver nitrate in test solution may vary from 1 to 10%. However, a 3% solution is considered to be the best choice. Lastly, in this chapter, we have learned that, as with other chemical methods of fingerprint detection, the silver nitrate technique has both advantages and disadvantages as well. The major advantage of this method is that the chloride ions in latent fingerprints are non volatile in nature, and therefore fingerprints which are almost 1 week old may be developed by silver nitrate reagent.